Next man up 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you on draft day eve. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Visit Busy Bee HVAC at the Music City Home Expo event this Friday through Sunday at the Fairgrounds Expo Center. Man, got me with an audible there. I'm so used to the usual Busy Bee liner. Glad I was able to read it on the fly. Parker, what's going on?
It sounded like a mouthful over there for sure.
Well, I mean, I've got it memorized at this point. I've been saying, home of the $99 Busy Bee membership, where the buzz is always about great service. They switched it up on me today, but we got it going. We are underway here on this Wednesday morning. Parker, what's going on?
Oh man, it's a fantastic day. It is draft day, rewatch day.
It is.
The draft is tomorrow. It doesn't get much better than this.
It doesn't. We've said it all week, one of the best weeks of the year, and we are just under 36 hours away from the draft, and so much still to find out before Roger Goodell hits the stage tomorrow evening in Pittsburgh. Speaking of Pittsburgh, that's where Cory Curtis is right now, and he will join us later in the show in the 11 a.m. hour. So we will hear from Cory live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as we prepare for the draft. We'll also have Drew Beatty, NFL draft film analyst who contributes over at paulkuharski.com. He will join us at 9:30. But it is draft eve, and a lot of mock drafts, a lot of intel coming out this morning. And Parker, for those of you on the love train, which I know you are, I would be totally down for Jeremiah Love at number 4. It's not looking great right now, with still a long way to go until the names start being read for the first round of the NFL draft. But this morning, Peter Schrager's final mock draft came out. He had Jeremiah Love going 3, and then he had the Titans taking Sonny Styles over Arvell Reese at number 4. Also, Dan Graziano came out this morning with a notebook of intel for ESPN. He says that for the Titans, the options are trade down, edge rusher, wide receiver at number 4. So as we've kind of known the entire time, we know nothing at this point, but Jeremiah Love to the Titans still very much in play, but it's looking less and less likely as we get closer to the draft tomorrow night.
I just continue to get more and more confused, which is why I'm so anxious, because it's changed so much since we started talking about this in December. To be honest, if it's down to wide receiver or trade back, please get whatever you can trade back. There's not a receiver, and I've been saying I haven't changed on this at all. There's not one receiver in this draft that I would feel comfortable taking in the top 5. Not a single one.
I agree. Tyson, if he's healthy, Tyson is in that conversation at the very least of being a top 5 pick, a wide receiver, but we just don't know. And Mike Borgonzi said that they didn't have many questions or concerns on the medicals. I just think it's a little too rich for me to take him at 4. But if you do trade back, Tate and Tyson, I think later in the top 10 would be at least in play. But I think you're right. If you're sitting on the board and you've got an offer, especially if Jeremiah Love does go 3rd to the Cardinals and Arvell Reese is sitting there, if you don't love Arvell Reese and you get an offer to trade back, I'd be fine to take it. I'd also be good taking Arvell Reese there.
I'd be fine with that. With Saleh, knowing what he can do, I'd be totally fine with that.
Right. I think Arvell Reese would be there's a reason he's been talked about as the possible number 2 pick. And if you're looking at the odds, which have been changing basically by the minute at this point, right now it's about 50-50, whether it's Bailey or Reese at 2. Bailey with maybe a slight edge. And then at 3, it could be Bailey, it could be Reese, it could be Love. The draft is always just an unknown until we start hearing names being read. Sonny
Strager had Bailey going at 2 to the Jets?
Yes, so he had Bailey 2. Jeremiah Love 3, Titans taking Styles at 4, and then Arvell Reese going 5 to the Giants. Sonny Styles, I really do think he is going to he's going to be a good football player, and I think he can be a game changer for your defense. He is my least favorite option of the ones you've got it for, and I've said that all along. That doesn't mean I think it's a bad pick. I would just pick somebody else, right? Like if it's
neck and neck for me between Styles and Reese.
Yeah.
on which one I'd want more.
So if it's Love versus Styles, I agree. I'd go with Love. The Styles versus Reese debate is really intriguing because I think if you're looking at it as who has the highest ceiling, it's Reese, because you think Arvell Reese could turn into a dynamic pass rusher. And Sonny Styles, that's not going to be his position. But if Reese ends up just being an off-ball linebacker, Sonny Styles is a better off-ball linebacker than Arvell Reese is. I told TD last Thursday when he came on, I was watching Arvell Reese tape and couldn't take my eyes off zero. So Sonny Styles would be a good pick at number 4, although I do think I would take Reese or Love over him. It's right now, the lying season is in full effect. All of the smoke screens are everywhere. Although I do think that the Love to the Cardinals stuff might be more legit than we initially thought, right? Like
they're the wild card in all this.
Right.
We've been saying that for a while. They're the wild card because I feel like the Jets are going to go edge rusher just because the moves they made so far this offseason, it just makes sense. And also Aaron Glenn being that defensive mind that he is, they could go Francis Mauigoa. They could go Arvell Reese. They could go Jeremiah Love. They really, the draft in my mind really starts at 3.
I mean, the Cardinals, I think they want to trade out, and I've held firm on that. Monty Ossenfort likes to move back in the draft, pick up more draft capital, and maybe he's not in love with Arvell Reese. I did read, it might have been Schrager, I forget who it was, put out yesterday that the Cardinals are a little bit wary about taking a hybrid defender because of their Isaiah Simmons pick a few years back, where you didn't really have a position for him. You thought, all right, well, he's a good enough player wherever we put him, he's going to make an impact. And it didn't work out for Isaiah Simmons in Arizona. I think they may be a little wary of that. And if somebody wants to come up, give them a couple of extra picks, whether that's in this year's draft, in next year's draft, because the Cardinals could be in play for a quarterback. I think they would like to trade out. And if they trade out, it would most likely be for Arvell Reese. I think if somebody's coming up to 3, it's for Arvell Reese. So then the Titans are on the clock at 4, and it's Love versus Styles. And I think that might be the decision that it comes down to. And I know most Titans fans are all on the Love train and would be devastated if they took Sonny Styles. But I really think it could go either way. And right now, all of the smoke is heading towards Styles. That could be a diversion at this point, trying to get people off of Jeremiah Love. I don't know. And as Lauren says on the text line, he says, haven't we learned by now that the closer to the draft you get, the less you listen to draft rumors? You can probably erase anything you've heard about a team's interest in a player that you heard in April. I don't know about that, but I do think there is just so much more out there as we get closer. Like throughout March.
Too many mock drafts, too many insiders, too much information. We don't know what's true and what's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's one of those things where everybody has different opinions on where things are going. Like Graziano this morning. All of the smoke is now going towards David Bailey at number 2. Everybody's saying, all right, well, it looked like Arvell Reese for a second, but it's David Bailey. Bailey's going to be the guy. And then Dan Graziano comes out and says, yeah, everybody I've talked to over the last week thinks it's going to be Arvell Reese. So this is where we are. We are 36 hours away from the draft, and we still have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines. Dr. Locke is called in. Dr. Locke, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good morning, fellas. I absolutely believe it's disinformation. It just came out a couple days ago, and now Arizona out of nowhere is going to talk about how much they love Jeremiah Love. They're not going to keep it to the vest. So in life, every time anyone, you always want to ask, why is someone doing that? You know, what do they have to gain? So Arizona has everything to gain by putting out a bunch of disinformation saying they love Jeremiah Love, because they know the city, Nashville, is in love with Jeremiah Love. That's the popular pick, and Amy's under pressure to quiet the fans down, if nothing else. And I think that they're putting it out there, fishing, seeing if we're going to trade up to 3. We're not trading up to 3, and they're not picking Jeremiah Love.
It is funny, Dr. Locke, and I think that you could be right. all along it's been, all right, the Titans like Jeremiah Love and the Giants like Sonny Styles. Maybe it's not a coincidence that the teams in front of them are putting it out there that they like those players right before the draft to see if somebody will come up and grab them, even if it's the Titans moving up from 4 to 3 to get Jeremiah Love, or the Giants moving up from 5 to 4 to get Sonny Styles, like we had in our mock draft yesterday.
I mean, it's a smart move by Arizona. Let's throw a line out, see if you catch a fish. We'll tell everybody how much we love Jeremiah Love, and see if Nashville blinks and gives us a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. It's just I don't blame them, but they're not picking Jeremiah Love.
I don't know. Everybody and their mom right now is saying Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals, and whether that's real or not, we will find out when the Cardinals come on the clock.
If you're in line in Vegas and everybody's betting on one team, bet on the other.
That's probably a good point. Thanks for the call, Dr. Locke. I don't know what to believe, and that's the point that we're at in the draft process. Is everybody is putting stuff out there trying to see what sticks. I think it was Connor Hughes up in New York just tweeted out about 20 minutes ago and said there are 3 people in the Jets organization who know who the pick is at number 2. That is how smoke and mirrors and everything is under lock and key with these picks. The Jets don't want to give up anything at this point and give anybody a competitive advantage when it comes to the draft tomorrow night. This is why we love draft season. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to some of your reaction on this. Styles, Love, Reese. That seems to be the trio for the Titans. Bailey, if he's there, I think is the pick. So I don't even know if we have to worry about David Bailey at this point. If he's there, great. Turn the card in. If he's not there, then it becomes one of these 3 guys. And honestly, we're going to make our predictions tomorrow on who we think it's going to be. And I could see myself going with any of the 3 of them at this point, 24 hours out. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Again, today on the show, Cory Curtis is in Pittsburgh, so obviously can't join us for the full show. He will join us in the 11 a.m. hour. We will have Drew Beatty from PaulKowarski.com, contributes there as a draft film analyst. He's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, talking about some of these players, what he's seen on film, and what he thinks the best decision would be for Tennessee at number 4. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, here on this Wednesday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday morning. Excited for the draft, just under 36 hours away from the first round getting underway in Pittsburgh. And Parker, you mentioned in the first segment, it is draft day, rewatch day. I am fired up to watch the greatest bad movie of all time tonight. It is not a good movie, not realistic, but man, is it entertaining. And it gets you in the draft day mood.
It's just one of those things where it's so bad, but you can't look away.
Yep.
So, and it's your tradition at this point. I started this tradition last year and excited to keep it going.
And maybe the Titans follow in Sonny Weaver Jr.'s footsteps, taking a lightning quick middle linebacker with a middle linebacker from Ohio State with a lightning quick first step like Vontae Mack, and take Sonny Styles. That seems to be where everything is trending right now, with still, again, a long way to go until the picks are actually made. Some text here, 4312. He has become the leader of the Sonny Styles group. He says, give me Sonny, baby. Skylar says, Titans are drafting Sonny Styles with or without Jeremiah Love still on the board. There has been way too much talk and hype around Love for the Titans for it to really happen. It's lying season. I agree, which is why maybe you don't believe all the Sonny Styles hype going on right now. Something that I was just thinking about during the break is Dan Graziano and a couple others, Peter Schrager mentioned this too, that the Titans could consider wide receiver at number 4, Jordan Tyson.
No.
But this is right after the Giants started talking about, like, there was rumors the Giants might take Tyson at number 5. I think the Titans really want to trade out of number 4. I think they do. And that isn't a slight to Jeremiah Love or Sonny Styles. I think it's just the idea that this team has had of they need to add more top 100 draft picks. The Chad Brinker, 12 in the top 100, 30 overall over 3 years. Last year, you had 3 in the top 100 and what? 7 overall? 8 overall? This year, you have 3 in the top 100, 9 overall. So you're not on pace to reach either of those goals right now. I do think that the Titans want to add more draft capital. And in a draft like this, no matter how you feel about Jeremiah Love or Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese, this is the kind of draft that if you get an offer that you think is worth it to move out, I think you do it. Because Love, great player, running back in general is not a pick that you take early. I'd be okay with it if you don't have an offer on the table and the pass rushers are off the board. He's the best player you've got. Go take him. But if you got an offer to move out and you can add another top 100 pick next year, maybe a first-round pick next year, maybe 2 first-round picks this year, I think it's something that you have to seriously consider, considering where this roster is right now in the rebuild process and the amount of different players and different spots that you need to fill around Cam Ward.
That's the thing that drives me crazy, because I have not stopped thinking about what Brinker said about the 12 picks in the top 100 over the next 3 drafts. You mentioned they're not on pace to do that. So was that just you were trying to sound good? Did you actually mean that? Because if that's the case, we did that exercise yesterday where we had 3 different GMs or owners call in, and they, the Cowboys, what was it, 12 and 26?
12 and 20.
12 and 20. The Chiefs were going to throw in 9 and 40.
Yep.
If that's the case and you actually meant what you said, if those offers are actually real and they're presented to you, you would take them.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're actually thinking. And I'd love to know, did you actually mean that when you said that? Or was it just you trying to sound good?
I think the Cardinals and Titans are both trying to move out. I do. And I think they both look at it and say, all right, if we can't move out, if there's not an offer that is tantalizing enough for us to trade back, Jeremiah Love's the best player on the board. And I think both teams might be prepared to take Jeremiah Love if they don't find an offer that suits them. But both of them want to get out of those picks in the top 5. And I think the Titans, if they move back, I think it would be for a wide receiver, Tyson or Tate. Those guys are good players. And we've both agreed, Parker, that they're not worth it at number 4. But if you can get, let's say it's the Chiefs offer that we talked about yesterday, you get 40, and now you've got 3 picks in the top 40 and 4 in the top 66. Like that is really intriguing, especially when you can get a guy who you hope is a wide receiver 1 in the first round. Then you can use those other second and third round picks on the defense, on the interior of the offensive line, and you've given Cam Ward that extra weapon that he needs. I think they want to move out, but obviously it takes two. And it's not just any offer that you're going to move out for. It's going to be an offer that you actually feel is worthwhile for your team. So I think they want to move out. I think that's why there's so much smoke around the players, specifically the Giants have been looking at. Styles, the wide receivers. We're starting to hear the Titans might be interested in them. I think it's because they want somebody to come up and jump the Giants and take that pick. Again, we don't know. It's lying season. Back to the text line here, 615-737-1025. If you have any thoughts, 4352 says the Browns traded 3 first-round picks just to draft a player in draft day that they could have drafted at 7. That's the most Brown things ever. It's a very realistic movie. I guess that's fair. But, they had a great day. Crowd chanting Super Bowl at the end. 9194 says Tyson was injured half the time almost. Yeah, I mean, I get that with Jordan Tyson, the injury is why he is probably not worth it at number 4. I think it's okay to take him if you're getting more back in a trade, but I agree with you. Picking an injured player at number 4, a guy who has not really been able to stay on the field in any of his collegiate seasons, it's a little bit risky. 0686 says, this is Lorne, says, I'm still hopeful Browns want somebody badly enough to offer 6 and 24. Maybe we send back a 4th as a sweetener, then trade back to Dallas for 12 and 20. So end up with 3 first-round picks there, Lauren? You trade back to 6 and get 24, then back to 12 and get 20. You'd have to give up some of your day 2 picks probably, but if you get 3 picks in the top 24, I don't think I'd complain. 6181. Oh, here's one for you, Parker. Heard a rumor that nobody attended Fernando Mendoza's birthday party last year. He might be dropping on draft boards.
Uh-oh. Don't say it ain't so.
So
according
funny.
to that one caller, the Titans should take him because he's, it
Right.
doesn't matter. Positional value just doesn't matter. Best player on the board.
If the best player on your board is a cornerback in 7 straight rounds, you take 7 cornerbacks and then you figure it out.
It doesn't matter. If they're the best player available, you take them.
Ryan,
I don't actually mean that. I'm being sarcastic.
No, of course. Yes. Ryan in Florida says Titans trade to 3rd, but keep the 4th as well. Man, he's been really in on trying to do that. I did listen yesterday. Chase and Big Joe did a simulator where they did that, and they got a decent haul, but had to give up their 2nd and 3rd next year, their 1st and 2nd the year after that. I mean, you're making your team better right now, but you're mortgaging the future to do it. I actually did like what they ended up with. It was Love, Bain, and then they had a chance to take Denzel Boston at 29, which I would have done, but I think they traded out of that pick too. 615-737-1025. The draft is inching closer, under 36 hours away. And we will be talking draft all day today. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Drew Beatty. He is a contributor at paulkowarski.com who analyzes draft film. He's Iron City Film on X. We're going to get his thoughts on the Titans' decision and some of the players that they might target this weekend in Pittsburgh. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. It is the day before the NFL draft, and we are trying to sort through what the Titans might do at number 4. To help us do that, we go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and we are joined by Drew Beatty, an NFL draft film analyst, Iron City Film on X, and he's a contributor at PaulKuharsky.com. Drew, thanks for taking some time with us. How you doing this morning?
Talking some ball.
Well, Drew, right now, the Titans, it seems like there's going to be a choice between 3 different players at number 4. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Jeremiah Love. How do you sort through those 3 players and who might be the best choice for the Titans at number 4?
Yeah, I know, the recent theme, at least at the past 24 or 48 hours, Sonny Styles has been the overwhelming choice among all the national guys, right? That's been the constant theme across most of these, like right at the buzzer mock drafts from the big guys.
Right.
And I'm a little bit skeptical, to be honest with you. I think it is a little bit too convenient for Sonny Styles to be this just uniform choice. I think that is a little bit of smoke and mirrors from Mike Borgonzi and the general front office. I firmly believe this entire cycle, and I still do, that if either one of the edge rushers, Arvell Reese or David Bailey, is there at 4, they're going to be the choice. I don't want to rule out a trade back either, because I think if one of those edge rushers is there, it gives them a lot more ammunition and probably some interest for a trade back. But if they're going to stick and pick, I firmly believe if one of those 2 edge rushers is there, those are the 2 guys at the top of their board. And I firmly also believe that both Arvell Reese and David Bailey will be gone. I think they're both going to be top 3 picks in some order. And if that's the case, it goes down to Jeremiah Love or Sonny Styles. I still believe that Love would be the pick over Styles. I think that it just doesn't, if you're taking 2, air quote, devalued positions, right, between linebacker and running back, I think they're going to default to the one that helps support Cam Ward and Jeremiah Love. And I just don't think from a roster building perspective, as much as Robert Saleh is the linebacker guy, I think Love makes more sense than Styles.
Yeah, lots of smoke screens right now. Sonny Styles been the popular pick the last 24 hours, but obviously Jeremiah Love linked to the Titans throughout the whole process. Drew, I was looking at your big board that you posted on your X account, and Carnell Tate you have as the number 2 player in the class. There has been some buzz about the Titans maybe considering wide receiver at number 4. What makes you believe Carnell Tate is one of the premium players in this draft class?
Yeah, I've been really big on Carnell Tate throughout this whole process, because I think generally I also have a type at receivers. Just personally, I tend to fall for the really big athletic separator types. And I know there's kind of been this notion out there that Carnell Tate stuck as a receiver too, because he was one during his whole time at Ohio State. And I don't necessarily think that's fair. I think he just got stuck next to some great NFL players. But I think, a guy that's 6'3", that moves the way he does, and separates and decelerates the way that he does, is proficient at the catch point and in contested catch situations as he is. I think he brings you kind of the total package as a wide receiver 1. And he is a wide receiver 1 caliber guy to me. I think he would be, if I was in the GM chair as one of the, just the armchair GM, he would be my favorite pick at 4 if it was just me up there. But I'd be surprised to see the Titans go receiver at 4. I think, like you've mentioned before, I think in a trade back is probably the most realistic option where they land one of those top receivers. But yeah, for me, Carnell Tate has remained one of my favorite players in the whole draft class, and then my top option for the Titans at 4.
So, Drew, take me inside your mind for a second, because you have, I'm looking at your big board right now, and you have David Bailey as the 50th best prospect overall. And most people, I believe, have him going number 2 overall to the Jets. What's your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, and I also do believe that he'll probably ultimately be the pick at 2. And I'll just have to be the contrarian on David Bailey. But he's been a guy that I've just struggled to see the overwhelming top 3, top 5 consensus opinion on. Just because I think, you've got to have some level of power to be a successful edge rusher in the NFL at a high level. And I don't necessarily see the translatable power profile with David Bailey as an edge rusher. And I know he's more of your stereotypical speed guy. He's your twitchy burner off the edge. But even for a guy that is as fast in a straight line and as explosive in a straight line as he is, I think there's a lot of stiffness in his lower body, and I don't think he bends the corner all that well, which I think if you're going to live in the NFL as a pure speed guy, you got to be able to have that bend, to me, to be really successful as kind of a one-dimensional pass rusher. So I think it's really the blend of no power profile and some lower half stiffness that worries me about his ability to translate to the NFL as a pass rusher. And I also just don't necessarily see a 3-down player right now, at least early on in his career. I don't think he has the play strength to be an early down run defender as an edge in the NFL. So there's a couple of things that give me pause with Bailey. Obviously, the length and the explosiveness, they're enticing traits for an edge rusher. Excuse me. But I'm a little bit lower on his ability to translate, with that pure first step as a rusher.
And I mean, I could go down the list. Ted Hurst, you have the wide receiver from Georgia State. You have him at 17. Over guys like Chris Bell and guys like that. I believe Mekhi Lemon is down there as well. Explain that one too.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I mentioned with Tate, I kind of have a type when it comes to receivers. And it's the big guys that really have that lower half fluidity that can really they get up to top speed quick, but more importantly, they get from top speed to zero even faster. And that's what makes an elite separator in the NFL to me. And when you have a player in Ted Hurst's frame, 6'4", over 200 pounds, is able to sink their hips and stop on a dime like that, they bring the full package, with the size and the separation ability. I think he's one of the better contested catch receivers in this whole draft class. He's very, very George Pickens light to me. And like I said, I think, the Titans especially is a great fit for him. He's a pure X receiver, and they kind of lack that in the room right now. So he's been a guy that I've pointed to as a fit a couple of times. But really, it comes between the combination of fluidity and frame and ability at the catch point.
We're talking with Drew Beatty, contributor for PaulKowarski.com and Iron City Film on X, if you want to check out some of his work. Drew, the draft, more than just one round. The Titans have a lot of needs to fill, and I think the interior of the offensive line is a spot that you really highlight. Are there any guys, day 2, day 3, that you think could be instant impact players for the Titans at center or right guard?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I had to pick between the two positions, I think they're probably more likely to target guard earlier in the draft than they are center. And 35 has really seemed like the spot to add a guard to me for the past month or so. And I think when you look at kind of that late first round, early second round bucket of guards, it really comes down to between Texas A&M's Chase Pasantis and Oregon's Emmanuel Pregnon to me. They're kind of the two names. And honestly, I expect one of those guys to go in the first round. So I think you're probably left with only one of those two options at 35. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them pull the trigger on whichever one is there at 35. I think they're both generally in the same range on my board. I think they're both early second round players. They bring somewhat different skill sets, but I think they're both immediate plug and play starters. So I don't think you can really go wrong between the two. I think Chase Pasantis is a slightly better fit for the run scheme that Brian Daboll is going to want to run. But like I said, I think they're both easy plug and play guys for Tennessee. And if they were to wait a little bit later to chase guard, Bo Stevens from Iowa is more of like an early day 3 guy that I've kind of fallen in love with. He's right outside my top 50 on my board. Another guy that's just a mauler in the run game and I think moves pretty well. The center class, I'm a little bit lower on in general. I think I have most of them in kind of that third round bucket. So if they were to address center early, which I don't really expect them to, like Sam Hecht from Kansas State is a guy that I really like, or a Matt Golden from Michigan State, or another Iowa guy, Logan Jones. A lot of guys I have in that third round bucket, but I'd expect them to chase guard earlier than center.
Drew, last one for you here. Sonny Styles, again, there's been smoke around the Titans taking him at 4, but we do know Robert Saleh loves having that center fielder type middle linebacker, the quarterback of the defense. Fred Warner is the name that gets brought up a ton from his time in San Francisco. If they don't go Styles, are there any other players at that position that you think the Titans could target to fill that role for Robert Saleh?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, coverage is really, really important for a linebacker in Saleh's kind of 4-2-5 heavy defense. And that's something the Titans really don't have in their linebacker room right now. As good as Cedric Gray is, coverage is still not really a strong suit of his game. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them add a linebacker with a relevant pick in this class. And it'd probably be one with some coverage chops to them. Like a Kyle Lewis from Pittsburgh is a guy that has been talked about as maybe even a safety convert because he's kind of on the lighter side, more around 220. But he is comfortably the best coverage linebacker class if you view him as a linebacker. To me, he's a guy on day 2, more on the late day 2 end, that if they add him, I think he's an easy fit. More of a Cincinnati's Jake Golday, another guy that I think is really well-rounded and one of the better coverage guys in this class. I think he makes a lot of sense. He might be a guy they have to add at 35 because I don't know if he makes it to 66, but he's a guy that's another easy fit. Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech another big name who I think is going to go a little bit too rich for them, but I think he's a guy that fits that coverage profile really, really well. So whoever they add at linebacker, I would expect them to have a reliable coverage presence for that linebacker room, because that's something Saleh needs right now.
Drew, really appreciate you coming on. Great insight on the draft. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of chaos, but Titans trying to add to this roster. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Drew Beatty, Iron City Film on X, and you can find his work at paulkuharsky.com. Great stuff there. We'll react to what Drew had to say coming up next. We'll also get your thoughts on our phone and text line, 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Charlotte Knights. First pitch is at 5:35, and you can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, wrapping up hour number one here on this Wednesday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Big thanks to Drew Beatty, Iron City Film on Twitter. If you want to check out some of his work, he's got his big board, he's got his mock draft out there. And I thought some really interesting comments, especially on David Bailey, of, he's got him ranked 50th on his board, which is low, but he was able to back up why. He thinks that Bailey is kind of a one-dimensional pass rusher, pure speed guy, and he doesn't know how much that's going to play at the next level. He did say he still thinks he goes second or third to the Jets or the Cardinals, but I do like that Drew didn't try and conform to the consensus. He put out his board, ranked it with the players that he has as the highest ranked. Also had Carnell Tate number 2. And I think we've all kind of agreed throughout this process that Carnell Tate probably is not worthy of a top 5 pick. But I can see what he's saying of the argument of, well, he's always been a wide receiver 2 at Ohio State, so he can't be a wide receiver 1 at the next level. Well, look at like Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka was always kind of the wide receiver 2, right? Like he always had somebody who was a little more highly touted than he was. And then Egbuka came out and took over the league for the first 2 months of the year. He slowed down since, but turned out to be a really good NFL wide receiver. Now, he wasn't picked in the top 5. I wouldn't take Carnell Tate in the top 5, but I do see what he's saying, that at Ohio State specifically, where you have multiple first-round wide receivers pretty much every single year, comparing him to Jeremiah Smith versus comparing him to other prospects at that position is probably unfair to Carnell Tate when Jeremiah Smith is the freak that we know he is.
Yeah, but I've watched a lot of Carnell Tate, and I see him like his ceiling as a lower end wide receiver 1, really, really good wide receiver 2. I like Carnell Tate. I think that, I'm not going to come on here and diss an Ohio State wide receiver because, Brian Hartline, his ability to develop those guys, he's batting 1,000 right now. So I think Carnell Tate will be a really good player, but two overall is very rich for me.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a receiver in this draft that I feel comfortable taking top 10.
Really? I think 2 of them go top 10.
I could see it. I could see. So the thing with Jordan Tyson, I absolutely believe he's a top 10 caliber player in this draft when he's healthy. I know a lot of his injuries were contact injuries outside of the hamstring, but it scares me still. That does scare me.
See, I don't think Tyson gets by the Giants the second time. And it would not surprise me if he goes 5 to the Giants. But I would say 10 is probably more likely. Tate, 7, 8, 9, I think all would be in play. Commanders, they've been linked to Tate a ton. Even the Browns have been linked to Carnell Tate a lot. Keep him in Ohio, even though I do think the Browns are more likely to go offensive line or trade out of 6 rather than take Carnell Tate. But it's another option for Carnell Tate to go in the top 10. I just think at 4, a little bit too rich for me. 615-737-1025. Let's go back to the phone lines. We'll start with Kenny the mailman who's called in. Kenny, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Hello, good friends. How are y'all?
Doing great, Kenny. How are you?
Good. I've waited till right here at the end. I didn't want to call and change my first round draft pick for the Titans. This guy, this guy. I waited for clarity, and here it is. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Kenny.
Let's hear it, Kenny.
Jerry Jones loves the limelight. He's getting older. How many more drafts is he going to make? We don't really know. The Titans are going to trade the 4th pick for the 12th and the 20th pick. But we're not stopping there. We're trading the 12th and the 20th pick for the 15th pick. And they're going to pick Jordan Tyson, who is going to set the all-time record for the Titans wide receiver for missed games.
Wow. And that is a high record to reach, right? Like Traylon Burks and Corey Davis have that on lock over the last few years.
Hey, we're talking about something hard to achieve, but he will do it. You know what? call after call is laughing at the Cardinals. The Titans and the Browns are the Cardinals of the AFC. If you hold that mirror up and look at yourself, they haven't really signed an extra guard position, because I'm telling you right now, the Titans by the end of next year are going to have to move Latham to guard along with the other guard that they picked for a tackle. So you want to laugh at the Cardinals, you have to laugh at the Titans. I'm really going to get on Joe and Chase, because the Cardinals have earned it. They're ludicrous with their picks, but we are step for step with them.
That is true. Day. Thanks for the call, Kenny. And if the Titans trade back to 12 and get 12 and 20, I wouldn't hate trading back up too. Kind of like he said, maybe it's not for Tyson, but similarly to what the Titans did in 2016 when they traded out of number 1, you're back at 13, but you trade back up to 8 to get Jack Conklin. Wouldn't shock me if the Titans did something like that. You move out of the top 10 and then move your way back in. We had this discussion around the possible trade with the Rams that Connor Orr put out there yesterday. Let's go back to the phone lines. There was a lot of intrigue around who Kenny thought the Titans should take. Ryan, we already know. Ryan, thanks for calling. Let's hear it.
All right, guys, repeat after me. With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the 4th pick selects the Tennessee Titans select Jeremiah Love, University of Notre Dame.
You're going to keep speaking it into existence, and we will have to see if it happens tomorrow. But I appreciate you manifesting it day in and day out, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a blessed day, guys.
You too, Ryan. Jeremiah Love is still, and I do want to get this straight, because we're talking about all of the smoke around Jeremiah Love not being the pick to the Titans. He is still the odds-on favorite to be the pick at number 4. So,
man, I hope Ryan's all right if Jeremiah Love.
I know. Well, I think that's going to be a lot of Titans fans who are dead set on Jeremiah Love. I will say there's no bad option here. Like, these are all high-level prospects that are being talked about at number 4, as they should be. If you're taking a guy at 4th overall, they should be high-level prospects. There is not really a wrong answer here. I think there are better answers than others, but there's no wrong answer. Jeremiah Love would be a great pick at number 4, but, we'll have TD on tomorrow. He can lead Nashville in the prayer once again. Lord, bring us patience.
It'll be
bring
perfect
us calmness.
Because it'll be draft day.
It'll be draft day. We can get Nashville just to bring it down a notch on the Jeremiah Love stuff, because there is a chance that he is not a Titan tomorrow night. I know for the last month, basically, everybody's been convinced that it's Love at 4. Things change, and maybe what we were hearing for 6 weeks was true, right? And these smoke screens coming in are just random, and they're lies at the last second. But it's the NFL draft. Crazy things happen. I mean, I will always look back to 2019, and I've said this before, standing on Broadway, waiting for the Raiders to pick, and then them taking Cleveland Farrell at 4 was a stunner. No one saw that coming. Now, Mike Borgonzi, I think it's safe to say, even at this point where he's only won 3 games as a GM, he's a better GM than Mike Mayock. Low bar. So I don't think that we're going to see a shocker like that. But we've got 4 players that have been talked about for the Titans at 4. If you get any of them, which you're going to have the option to, if you take any of those 4, I think you're getting a player who can be a pillar for this organization. They've still got to prove it on the field. They got to come in here and they've got to show up. But I do think that Bailey, Reese, Love, Styles, you're getting a player that you believe can be a cornerstone for this franchise as they move forward in this new era.
Yeah, and there are very few elite prospects, game-changing prospects, from the get-go in this draft. It's a very weaker draft, I guess, is the right word compared to others. But since the Titans are at number 4, regardless of outcome, they still have an opportunity to get an elite level prospect because of that high pick.
Right. You're picking at 4. They're going to be a player that can help this team. But I do think, I think pass rusher or Love would be my favorite option. Sonny Styles would not be a bad option, even though he's probably number 4 on that list. S. Walt on the YouTube chat says, what do you even net in a Kenny's trade? You were at 4, gave up 12 and gave it up for 12 and 20, and then come up with 12 and 20 to get Tyson. I don't know if Kenny meant exactly that trade, but yeah, you didn't give up. You gave up 12 and 20 to move up. I think it would be probably 12 and something else, and you'd keep 20. 615-737-1025. We got 1 hour in the books on this Wednesday morning. Again, Cory Curtis is going to join us at 11 a.m. live from Pittsburgh as he gets ready to cover the draft tomorrow night. Coming up next, we're going to go through the top 10 and just see where things stand right now, just a little over 24 hours before the draft. And also, we mentioned it's draft day, rewatch day. We are going to do our Post-it note predictions. Anybody who's seen draft day knows that Sonny Weaver, and, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie that's been out for 12 years, he writes Vontae Mack no matter what on it. What is your no matter what for the draft? Doesn't have to be at number 4, just something for the Titans that no matter what has to happen. We'll do that in hour number 2 as well. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. Second hour on this Wednesday. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Visit Busy Bee HVAC at the Music City Home Expo event this Friday through Sunday at the Fairgrounds Expo Center. It is draft eve. We are going through everything that could happen tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. And again, Cory Curtis is live in Pittsburgh. He will join us in the 11 a.m. hour. So excited to talk to Cory. He's been out at the Play 60 event. A lot of the big prospects who are at the draft are out there. He's been able to speak with them. So excited to hear from Cory in about an hour. There's so much smoke going on right now, Parker. I wanted to just go through the top 10 with you here. And let's come to a consensus on what these teams should do with their top 10 picks. Doing the whole first round is almost impossible, right? Like there are guys that we aren't talking about as first round picks that are going to get in there, right? Like maybe not a Cole Strange level reach when Bill Belichick took him in the first round a few years ago, but there are players that we aren't discussing as first round picks that will be in there. 32 is too much, but the top 10, I think we can get a pretty good idea of what these teams should do. Number one, it's easy. Fernando Mendoza, right? I mean, he is the number one quarterback. Vegas has been eyed in on him from the very beginning. He is going to go number one. Do you think the Jets should go Bailey or Reese at number two, Parker?
That's a good question, just because I know Aaron Glenn he got a lot out of an injury-riddled defense in Detroit, so I don't doubt that he's a good developer. But also, too, and I know this probably shouldn't factor into it as much as it does, it's New York, so I have no idea. To me, in my mind, Arvell Reese has the much higher ceiling.
I agree.
But will they be able to develop him properly? That's a question I ask. I do think they're going one of the two. I think they should go Reese, but I think it's going to be Bailey.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this because I agree with you. Like for the Jets, you're in a rebuild. Geno Smith is your starting quarterback right now. Taking the guy with the higher ceiling may make more sense, but you're the Jets. Do you just take the guy with the higher floor that's like, all right, David Bailey, maybe he's not going to be Micah Parsons, but we think that he can be a high-level pass rusher in this league. I would say I think the Jets should take David Bailey, but it's close. And that's the one that everybody's kind of waiting for the domino to fall to see where things pan out from there. Arizona at 3. Jeremiah Love is the popular pick right now. I saw Peter Schrager mock it this morning. Dan Graziano in his intel this morning said Jeremiah Love. We saw Adam Schefter put out there that Love is in play at 3. Is that all a smokescreen, or do you think Arizona actually could go running back, and should they go running back considering where that roster is?
No, I don't think they should go running back because they don't have an established quarterback. So I don't think that would make sense. They have a lot of needs here. I think it would be smart to go either. I'm guessing Reese is going to be available by this point. I think you go Reese or Francis Mauigoa. I think those should be your two options.
I think Reese for Arizona. If the Jets go Bailey, I think Arizona should go Reese. Like you're in a spot where getting a player like that on your defense could be a huge step in their rebuild. Quarterback is the big thing, and they are the heavy odds-on favorite to take Ty Simpson at some point in this draft, likely either at 34 or trading back into the first round. I think Arvell Reese is a good move for that team that I don't want to say they don't have much to lose, right? But like you're in a really tough spot with your quarterback situation. You finish the season on a 9-game losing streak. Bringing in Arvell Reese gives you a high ceiling player that could end up being a staple of your defense. With Jeremiah Love, yeah, I understand it that you add another weapon for your young quarterback. Like if you do take Ty Simpson, giving him Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and Jeremiah Love all on his offense, yeah, that helps. But I do think you need to invest in the defense. I would go Arvell Reese there. I do think that the Love smoke might be coming from the owner, Bidwell. Like, I think he realizes, as we've had fans text in, like Jeremiah Love is going to sell tickets and he's going to sell jerseys. And I wonder if Arizona, knowing that this is probably going to be a down year for them where they're picking in the top 5 again next year, if not all the way at the top of the draft, getting a young, explosive player who is probably the highest rated player regardless of position in the draft might be good for the bottom line. And so maybe that's part of it too. I think Austin Fort wants to trade out, but if they stick, his owner might be saying, you take Jeremiah Love and he is going to sell tickets. He's going to sell merch, and we are going to make money even if we go 2-15 this next season.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is smoke because they know the team behind them is very interested in Jeremiah Love. So I think a lot of this is smoke, but I think the Titans, while the Titans and Cardinals are very similar and they both have a lot of needs and not enough picks to address all those needs, but the difference between Arizona and Tennessee is Tennessee has what they think is going to be the quarterback of the future. So it would make more sense to pair him with an elite running back prospect in Jeremiah Love. Meanwhile, in Arizona, they don't have that quarterback. So you'd kind of be doing it the opposite way, which I don't think is a smart move.
For Arizona, percent chance they take Ty Simpson at 3.
0.
You think 0?
Not happening.
I'm going to go 2. I don't think it's impossible.
I think they're going to find a way to trade up back into the first round.
I agree, but that's risky. If they love Ty Simpson and think that he can be their franchise quarterback, passing on him at 3 and trying to trade up is risky because it opens the door for other teams to do the same thing. And so
it's not happening.
Again, I'm going 2%. I think it's very unlikely, but it's not impossible.
Because also, too, there's a good chance that they could get him with their first pick in the second round.
Yeah, but that's a risk.
A huge risk,
If you think he's a franchise quarterback, you don't let him get by you.
I think this is going to play out exactly how it played out with Jackson Dart last year, where they trade back into the first round late and get him because the Steelers there, we have no idea what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. So that's an enticing option. But Arizona, to me, makes the most sense. And then also, too, there is a small possibility the Jets could take Ty Simpson in the middle of the first round.
Yep. They pick 16, and there are a couple other teams that you might keep an eye on. I'm putting it 2%, but I don't think it's impossible. Titans at 4. What do you think they should do at 4? I think Jeremiah Love is the answer there, especially knowing that the pass rushers are going to be off the board, most likely. Arvell Reese versus Jeremiah Love would be a tougher decision than like Styles versus Love, but I think I'm going with Jeremiah Love is what the Titans should do at number 4. You've got a young quarterback that you just haven't helped enough this offseason. Jeremiah Love helps you. And yes, you have to do more around him. They've got to address the offensive line later in the draft, but I do think if I'm seeing, given what we expect to happen at the top of the draft, the odds say, and a lot of the insiders say it's going to be the 2 pass rushers, 2 and 3. If Love is there, I think the Titans should take Jeremiah Love.
You know what I'm going to say, right? Because you have 2 positions that are both looked at as non-premium positions, but you need weapons for your quarterback. So you have 2 guys, nobody has the intangibles or the measurements that Sonny Styles has, but also, 2, Jeremiah Love is viewed as the best player in the draft. You get weapons to help your young quarterback. Jeremiah Love should be the pick.
Well, and I will say, Mike Borgonzi mentioned specifically when he was asked about Sonny Styles that Robert Saleh has done a nice job of developing guys they take later in drafts to be his starting middle linebacker. Fred Warner, 3rd round pick. Dre Greenlaw was a 5th round pick. Quincy Williams was a 3rd round pick in 2019. So these are guys who were not taken at the top of drafts, and Robert Saleh was still able to get the most out of them. I do get that is an important position in a Robert Saleh defense, is to have that middle linebacker who can play hash to hash. He can carry routes up the middle of the field. But Robert Saleh's been able to find those guys later in drafts and develop them into stars. Fred Warner is the big example everyone says, oh, Sonny Styles could be his Fred Warner. Well, he wanted Tremaine Edmonds in the 1st round and had to settle for Fred Warner in the 3rd. I think we saw how that turned out. I do think that, they probably do address linebacker at some point in this draft to get somebody who fits better in coverage for Robert Saleh. But the 4th overall pick is a little bit steep, especially with some of the other options you could have on the board. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction. We'll go through the rest of the top 10 here. And again, we are going to do our Post-it note predictions. It is draft day, rewatch day. What are you writing on the Post-it note? Blank no matter what for the Titans this weekend in the draft. We'll do that at the bottom of the hour. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. We are one day away from hearing those chimes again. Draft weekend, one of the best weekends of the sports calendar. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game, and all of our football offseason coverage is brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks. From kickoff to last call, Tennessee Brewworks, the official craft beer of the football offseason on ESPN 1025 The Game. We are going through the top 10 right now. There are a lot of smoke screens, a lot of different predictions out there, but just going through and saying, what should these teams do tomorrow night? And we've gone through the first four picks. Number one, of course, Fernando Mendoza. We said Bailey at 2 with, kind of 50-50 on Reese. That pick, I think we'll know by the time they come out. Like, I think there will be some sort of consensus, but as of right now, I think it could go either way. 3, we both agreed they should go with whatever pass rusher is left. I assume it's going to be Arvell Reese. And the Titans, we said Jeremiah Love. At 5 for the Giants, I think things change now that they have that second top 10 pick from the Dexter Lawrence trade. I think Sonny Styles is probably the pick here if he gets past the Titans, of course. But Caleb Downs wouldn't shock me either. I think Caleb Downs, we had this discussion the other day, Parker, of is he a victim of prospect fatigue? He's been talked about as a top 5, top 10 pick, basically since he stepped foot on campus at Alabama and of course, transferred to Ohio State. I think Caleb Downs is still going to go somewhere in the top 10, and I think his window starts at number 5 for the Giants.
Yeah, no, I'd certainly say that's fair, but I've had this feeling that if Sonny Styles doesn't go in the top 4, I could totally see this being a John Harbaugh guy. So I have a feeling, and two, they have two picks in the top 10. So I see them addressing defense with their first. This just seems like a John Harbaugh guy, Sonny Styles. So I see Sonny Styles going at 5, and then they go offense at 10.
Yep, and I think they're probably going to go Styles at 5 because there's not really an option. Like, I guess you could go wide receiver at 5 and hope that Downs maybe is there at 10. But if you want to get one of these game-changing,
that's more risky.
It's risky, right? And I think you can go Styles at 5, and then there's a chance Tate or Tyson is there at 10. 6 with the Browns. This one, I think they want to trade out. I do. But if they stick, I think they go offensive line because they've had to replace their entire offensive line this offseason. All 5 starters from last year are gone. Now, they've done work there in free agency, but I do think that they need to go out and find a staple tackle. I would think it's Francis Maui-Noah here. It could be Carnell Tate, but I think they're going to go offensive line at 6.
Get out of my head, Jake.
You're thinking offensive line too?
I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah.
If my options are Francis Maui-Goa or Carnell Tate, I have much more confidence in Francis Maui-Goa being your right tackle of the future than I do Carnell Tate. You know, I think a top 6 selection on a guy that is, in my mind, I see being a low-end wide receiver 1. I can't bring myself to do that.
Yeah, I think Carnell Tate, in my mind, is kind of a similar level prospect as the guy like Jerry Jeudy. Like, you have Jerry Jeudy in there. I know he's older and we've seen what he is, but like Carnell Tate doesn't move the needle for me. I agree with you. Solidifying that offensive line for Shedeur Sanders or the next quarterback you bring in, I think that's going to be important for Cleveland. So I agree. I think it's offensive line there. 7 for the Commanders. I think they will go offensive weapon of some sort. They don't really have a ton in that area for Jaden Daniels right now. You've got scary Terry McLaurin. He's dealt with some injuries, and Terry McLaurin, I think, is perpetually going to be kind of a top 20 wide receiver, but he's never a top 10 guy. I think they're going to go offensive weapon. If Jeremiah Love somehow slips to 7, don't think it's going to happen, but if he does, I think the Commanders run the card in for Jeremiah Love. But if he's not there, whoever their top wide receiver is, I think that's what they should do. They need to give Jaden Daniels help. I think they're going to go with one of the 3, Love in the rare chance he makes it there, or it could be Tate or Tyson at 7, depending on who they have rated higher.
All right, so this is where I have Caleb Downs going.
You have Downs to the Commanders.
Generational safety. They have a defensive-minded head coach in Dan Quinn. I do not think it would be wise whatsoever to pass on a generational safety who's getting compared to Ed Reed. If he's there at number 7, you run the card in. They have a need for safety. It just makes sense.
I could see it. I just think with Jaden Daniels coming off a disappointing second season, I know injuries played a role in that. I think you want to help him as much as possible, getting him another offensive weapon to be a detractor from Terry McLaurin. Because, like, what else do they have over there right now? Deebo Samuel's gone. They still have Ertz right at tight end, but like, meh. They got Chig. They got Van Jefferson, but they need to help Jaden Daniels a little bit more. They need to give him some more weapons. 8 is the one spot that I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, in the top 10, I think I have a pretty good idea of the direction teams are going to go, like 2 or 3 different prospects or 1 or 2 position groups. That's where they're going to go. The Saints could go absolutely anywhere with this pick. I would guess it's going to be defense, but it wouldn't shock me if they go get another wide receiver to pair with Chris Olave and give Tyler Shuck another option on the offensive side of the ball. This could be a Reuben Bain landing spot, maybe even a Caleb Downs landing spot. If Sonny Styles falls, he could go there. The Saints really are one of they're the one team in the top 10 that I really don't have a good grasp on, at least an area that they're going to go. Obviously, we don't know anything about who the players are going to be, but I feel good about most of the top 10 in that I can see, all right, it's going to be this cluster of players. The Saints could go anywhere. They're off the board for me. Do you have any idea, Parker, of where you think the Saints might go?
Well, they need a replacement for Cam Jordan. So you look at who they have in the defensive line room at edge rusher. It's not great. So I think that's where they address it here. And our guy's still on the board, Reuben Bain.
So I put together a full mock draft. I do it every year just for fun, and then I go back through and see, how far off I was. I did have Reuben Bain here. I think that's a fit. And if he doesn't go at 8, I think there's a good chance that he goes at 9 to the Chiefs. So I think the Saints might go Bain. Chase from White Bluff says, as a Saints fan, I really don't know. I would hope best defensive player available. And that's kind of where I'm standing too. The Chiefs, I think Bain is in play here at 9. If not, it's Mansour Delane. Like, I feel pretty good about saying it's one of those 2 players.
Yep. Because they desperately need corner. Trent McDuffie's gone. Justin Watson's gone. You need corner. Mansour Delane's the best guy on here. There's concern about Jermon McCoy if he has to have another surgery, what that could do to his career. So you go Mansour Delane.
Outside shot wide receiver there. Outside shot. Because they do have 29 and 40. Which,
could you imagine a Carnell Tater, Mekhi Lemon with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, and pair him with some of the other options they have there. I would like any of those picks to the Chiefs, especially knowing 29, you're probably going to have some cornerback options on the market with Colton Hood, Brandon Cease, maybe even Jermon McCoy is there at 29 if you feel better about the medicals at 29 than you do at 9. So I think the Chiefs cornerback likely could be Bain, could be wide receiver. I will say they should take a cornerback. And then the Giants at 10. I would guess they go defense at 5. They take whichever wide receiver is still sitting around. Now, the question becomes, though, if Tyson and Tate both go before them, could they double up on Ohio State defenders? Like, could they go down or Styles at 5, Downs at 10 if he gets there? I think that could be really intriguing for John Harbaugh. Of course, he was the back end of the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed era, but to get two guys who are considered pretty generational prospects at linebacker and safety in the top 10, that could be intriguing to John Harbaugh as he steps in for his first year in New York.
Yeah, and this is my thing going into the draft. I think there is going to be a bit of a slide on Carnell Tate, and I think that he ends up paired with former teammate Sonny Styles. So I think Carnell Tate is the pick here. I think they go defense first and then offense. I would feel much more comfortable about taking Carnell Tate at 10 versus having him at number 4 or number 5.
Yeah, I think for the Giants, you keep your eye on Columbus, Ohio for their picks because there are 4 Ohio State players who could probably are going to go in the top 10. Beyond that, no idea. I mean, that's the NFL draft for you, but it's going to be chaos tomorrow night in Pittsburgh, and we cannot wait. It's one of the best nights of the entire year. 615-737-1025. Again, Cory Curtis is going to join us live from Pittsburgh coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, so excited for that to get Cory's thoughts on what the Titans might do tomorrow night at 4 and beyond. Coming up next, though, we have talked about it for months, that the tradition is you'd watch draft day the night before the NFL draft. It's like Christmas Eve where you read the night before Christmas. You watch draft day the day before the actual draft day. And the big moment in that movie is Sonny Weaver Jr., Kevin Costner, dropping the Post-it note on the table that says, Vontae Mack, no matter what. What is your no matter what for the Titans? What are you writing on the Post-it note? We will give ours coming up next. I already see a ton on the text line and in the YouTube chat. We will get to those coming up next. What is your no matter what the Titans have to do this? Doesn't have to be at number 4. It can be anything to do with the draft. We'll do it after this. 615-737-1025. Tee it up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open, May 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are once again supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play your sponsor at 615open.com. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 125 The Game. The Game Nashville Sports Network will have coverage of the NFL Draft live tomorrow from T-Line Nashville and on Friday from Chicago's home of Chicken and Waffles. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. tomorrow on 102.5 The Game and Friday on Sports Talk 830, presented by Perman Tractor and Equipment, Pizzona MD, Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, Sealmaster, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air Home Generators. We are 1 day away from the NFL Draft, and as we have been advocating, everyone should watch Draft Day tonight to get yourself in the draft mood. It's not a good movie. It's not going to win any Oscars. But damn if it's not entertaining. And it is. Sonny Weaver Jr. going through. We had a great day at the end as he's able to trade 3 second-round picks to get an off-ball linebacker, a running back, and a punt returner. The big moment in that movie, though, of course, is he makes the pick. The whole war room's freaking out, and he throws the Post-it note on the table that reads, Vontae Mack, no matter what. We have asked you, what do the Titans need to do during this draft, no matter what? What is your Post-it note prediction? Parker, I'm going to let you go first. What do the Titans need to do in this draft, no matter what?
Okay, so we all know their three biggest needs are edge rusher, wide receiver, and then if you want to throw Jeremiah Love in there, sure. I think Jeremiah Love is going to be the pick at number 4. So I'm going to go something that I haven't really talked about as much.
Yeah.
I think the Titans need to address the center position on day 3 specifically, because there are 3 guys on day 3 that I know for a fact are going to be available, and I would love to see the Titans get one. And here's the 3 guys. Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida, all SEC guy. Pat Coogan, center from Indiana, who before that played at Notre Dame with who? Jeremiah Love. If Jeremiah Love is the pick, it would make a lot of sense for them to pair him with Pat Coogan, the third guy, who is probably going to go higher than Coogan, and that's Parker Brailsford, the center from Alabama. Those are the 3 guys that I really like at the center position. My crush is Jake Slaughter. I would love to see the Titans address the center position on day 3. If you don't get Jeremiah Love, I prefer Jake Slaughter. If you do get Jeremiah Love, Pat Coogan's your guy.
All right, so Parker says center, no matter what. The Titans need to address that position. I'm going a little off the board here. Anybody who's listened to this show knows that I have had one thought about the Titans and what they need to do this offseason, no matter what. And the culmination comes this weekend. Trade Will Levis, no matter what. That is my Post-it note prediction. And it's nothing against Will Levis, but he is an asset that is not going to have higher value moving forward. He is a free agent after this season, so he is going to walk for nothing. We get texters all the time saying, why not keep him, develop him, see if he can turn into something. For what, though? You can develop him all you want this season as a backup to let him walk for nothing next year. And I'm not in any illusion that he's going to get you a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick or even a 4th, but he is going to be able to help you maneuver around the draft board. And I did see Ben Solak, who we've referenced a couple of his articles at ESPN.com. He put out yesterday, somebody asked him, who is a player that nobody is talking about that is going to impact a team in 2026? And he tweeted Will Levis. And that kind of shocked me that was the guy he was thinking of. TD responded and said, package him in a pick to move up into the later part of a round. I think that's exactly what the Titans need to do. Take Will Levis and your 101st pick and see if you can trade up into the mid to late 80s and add another top 100 pick, add another player that you think can start for this team immediately. That is my Post-it note prediction. I'm throwing it on the table. Trade Will Levis this weekend, no matter what.
This has been your thing for a while.
It's had to happen for a while. I thought it was going to happen last year, but this is your last chance, really. And I know there are people who say, well, let him play in the preseason and see if he shows out and raises his value. What if he doesn't play well, right? Like you signed Hendon Hooker, you signed Mitch Trubisky. that's your 3 quarterbacks in the room heading into training camp. Maybe you add an undrafted guy. I know Chase and Joe in their simulations have been adding Diego Pavia in every single mock draft. But the 3 guys that you're going to carry into training camp are Ward, Trubisky, and Hooker.
Could you imagine Levis, Hooker, and
And
Pavia
all in the same room? Yeah,
at the
that'd
same
be
time?
hilarious.
Yeah, imagine telling somebody that 5 years
Like
ago.
the 3 biggest college fandoms that probably follow the Titans as their pro team, give all 3 of their most recent great quarterbacks and put them in there. I mean, Levis wasn't great, I guess, at Kentucky, but he had one really good year. But I think that would be hilarious. It's not going to happen, though. And Will Levis, he has value. It's not a ton of value, but he has value to either get you a late round pick by himself or help you as a sweetener to move up in the draft somewhere. I think that's probably how he's used. It was funny yesterday. The Titans tweeted out a picture of the quarterbacks, and it was just like, our QB room was the caption. And it was Ward and Trubisky high-fiving each other, and then a picture of Hendon Hooker throwing the football. I think that might tell you where things are going.
Trade Levis. I think you're going to get a 6th round pick for him. I think you ask for a 5, but settle with the 6th.
I don't think they're going to do a straight up pick. And maybe they do. Maybe it's just like, hey, in the 5th round, we've already used 142 and 144. And Borgonzi says, there's somebody we really like in the 150s. Let's see if we can throw Will Levis at it and maybe add a 7th or something and see if we can move up. It's an opportunity to use him to get a clean pick. But I think it's more likely that he is used. You do Will Levis and 142 to get up to 125. Even better, Will Levis and 101 to move up into the 80s. That would be my preference, but I do think he's going to be traded at some point this weekend. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We are going to take your Post-it note predictions coming up next. What is the no matter what that you need the Titans to do this weekend? This could be the 4th overall pick. I would expect we're going to see some Jeremiah Love no matter what. But it also could be later in the draft. It could be just something around the draft the Titans need to do. Send us your Post-it note predictions. We will get to them coming up in the next segment. 615-737-1025, our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, Cory Curtis going to join us at the top of the hour live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as we prepare for tomorrow's NFL draft. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. It is draft eve. Tomorrow, we finally get to find out what the Titans are going to do at number 4 after, 6 months of speculation on what the Titans could do at the top of this draft since they fired Brian Callahan. Finally, tomorrow from Pittsburgh, the Titans will be on the clock at number 4. Cory Curtis is going to join us live from Pittsburgh in the final hour of the show. So excited for that. Tomorrow on the show, we will have TD for draft day, which will be great. Tonight, everybody should be watching the movie Draft Day. And we've asked you the question, what's your Post-it note prediction from the movie blank, no matter what? We're getting your answers now on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's start by going to the phones. Adam in Portland is called in. Adam, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Negotiable for tomorrow?
You're non-negotiable?
Yeah, is that what you're asking for?
Yeah,
Jake?
yeah.
Is
So
this
like
non-negotiable?
Right. What needs to happen no matter what for the Titans this weekend?
No way we walk away without a pass rusher.
Okay.
I think Femi is not it yet. I'm not saying he won't be, but if we don't get pressure, dude, it doesn't matter what we've done in the offseason. I think our team is going to not be good if people could stand back there. I don't care how good the new corners are. And I like Jeff, but when you change from a 3-4 to a 4-3, the D tackles are sometimes less impactful. So you've got to have a good edge rusher, and we don't have that right now. So I'm hoping that non-negotiable, we find a player. It doesn't mean we can't trade back. My favorite pick, and I've told you this for 2 months, is to trade back and get Bain, but we've got to get an edge rusher, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, Adam. You look at this edge group, and I think there are solutions for this season. Jermaine Johnson, trading for him and making that swap with Tavondre Sweat. Johnson, a much better fit in this solid defense, and adds a guy who's proven that he can do it at the NFL level. Good addition, but he's only under contract for 1 year. Maybe he blows up and you extend him and he can be a long-term solution, but you just don't know at this point. Jacob Martin on the other side, more of a veteran rotational type of guy. Like I would say kind of like an Arden Key type of role. Like he's probably going to get you 5 to 7 sacks during the season, but he's not a long-term solution. Femi is the wild card in all of this because you hope that he's going to develop and end up being one of those guys that you build around on the edge, but nothing that we saw last season gives you too much strong belief in that. So I agree with Adam that you've got to be able to add somebody that you think is a long-term answer at pass rusher, whether that's Bailey or Reese at the top of the draft or Bain in a trade back, or somebody at the top of the second round like a Zion Young or Malachi Lawrence, somebody in that range I think could really help this team. But I agree with Adam that they probably do need to address edge early in this one. We've got some more on the text line. Lenny with maybe my favorite one. Lenny says, don't screw up no matter what. I think that's fair. In that same vein, we had 4312 say, what would Rand Carthon do? Do the opposite is on his Post-it note. That's fair too. I think that there is a lot of things that you don't like about the Rand Carthon era. He obviously didn't have completely horrible decisions always, but Mike Borgonzi, I think we've seen, has been more competent in that role. Skyler says, no matter what, do not draft a receiver after the second round. Titans roster is full with number 3 wide receivers. Don't need another. If they think a guy is worth the pick and trading down in the first or at 35 to be a solid high-end number 2 receiver, I get it. But no matter what, don't waste a pick after the second round on another number 3 wide receiver. I agree with you. That was a conversation.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
We had that conversation on Monday of, do you need another 4th round wide receiver when you just took 2 last year? Probably not. You need a dude. You need a guy who can come in and you're sure he's going to be a starting level wide receiver, if not more for this team. You're not really finding that outside of the first 2 rounds unless you get really lucky.
I think you could get a really good wide receiver in round 3 just because the talent's so spread out
right
in that room specifically. But past that, I think you're right. I would not waste a pick. Like if it came down to you're picking in the 4th round and you need a center or wide receiver, I'm going center because I think there's value at center there.
That's kind of where I was going to go with it too. Like let's say you go Love at 4, you go pass rusher at 35, and you go cornerback at 66, like a Keontae Scott type of guy who's going to come in and play the nickel role for you. If you're sitting there at 101 and the choice is between a wide receiver and a guy who could be a starting center, yeah, give me a center because I've got enough of the lottery ticket wide receivers that you take later. And sometimes those guys end up blowing up. Sometimes you get Amon-Ra St. Brown or Puka Nacua, but it's very rare. And I think you have to assume that if you're going to get that number one wide receiver, it's going to come with either your first or your second draft pick coming up tomorrow and Friday. 615-737-1025. Again, we are taking your Post-it note predictions, for lack of a better term, from the movie Draft Day. What is your no matter what for the Titans this weekend? Let's go back to the phone lines. Dustin in Hopkinsville, a.k.a. Mr. Clean, has called in. Dustin, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Turned over a new leaf, and I am the choir boy now, Mr. Clean. Sir Adam, if you're listening, I know you are. Anyways, so what I need the Titans to do is go ahead and give Cam Ward all the help on offense. You know, that if we get Love, that's going to help him a lot. They address the line more. We don't want to see Cam Ward on his back. We want to take away all question marks because this year, we are not, if we get in the playoffs, we have over exceeded my expectations by far if we get that last wild card. All right? Now, what I want this year is answers for Cam Ward. I want to see him develop forward, not regress, and not be stagnant. And I want to give him the protection and the weapons. Love is a weapon, and then protect him. If Love is not there, trade back and getting that dog wide receiver. The Mekhi Lemon, I love that dude. You talk about him, he elevates over his height to get the ball. That is dog. That is athleticism and heart and dog put together, and you just can't find that in a guy very often. All right? So that's what I want. I want weapons, and I want protection for Cam Ward. I want all question marks off the board into this season. Actually, by midseason, we should know if we draft right. And I'm fine with Borgonzi going in the fourth round and taking receivers because I've seen what he's done with what little he had last year. I want to see what he can do again. And you do find that diamond in the rough every now and then. I think Borgonzi can do that.
Thanks for the call, Dustin. I would disagree on the last point of you don't need more depth in the wide receiver room. You've got DK and Iamander and even Bryce Oliver, who I think Titans fans last year before the injury were excited to see get a little bit more of a chance on the offensive side after seeing what he did in the preseason and obviously is one of their better special teams players. You got depth. You need top-end talent. And again, yes, there's the Nico Collins and the Cooper Kupps and Amon-Ra and Puka. Those happen, yes. But it's much less likely than finding a guy at 4 or 35, even though, you know, if they're going to take one in the first round, I think you end up trading back to do that. Take Tyson or Tate. Justin says, I think no matter what, the Titans need to grab a tall and quick wide receiver. And that's, I mean, yeah, I would like.
You described Ted Hurst. You could get
Ted
him
Hurst,
in the third round.
Chris Brazzell, like those are kind of guys that would fall in that.
But his maturity issues.
Yeah, I loved PK trying to read that.
That was hilarious.
It's a poorly written sentence. It really was from Adam Schefter, maybe intentionally to try and cause some confusion. 5102. No matter what, Eli Stowers. I like Eli. I really do. I don't know if there's a fit when it comes to positional need and the pick that the Titans are going to have, unless they trade back from 35, right? Like if you trade back from 35 and pick up another third, maybe you end up in that 45 to 60 range where Eli Stowers, I think, is probably going to go. I think 35 would be a little too rich for Eli Stowers, and I think 66, he's going to be gone. So unless you trade back and find yourself in a more reasonable spot to take Eli Stowers, I would probably say no. Not impossible, but I'm gonna lean that that's not going to happen.
It'd be awesome. You know, I'd love to have Eli Stowers in the third. I think he's gone before then.
we have a couple on here, non-negotiable, do not get caught holding hands with a reporter.
Good
Sure,
advice.
that might be good advice all around for everybody. 615-737-1025. Nevada Josh says, do not let Amy speak no matter what. I don't think she's going to. I mean, she'll be on the phone with whoever they take it for sure, and we'll see those videos of, Borgo will make the call and welcome him to the Titans, and I'm going to hand you off to our owner, Miss Amy. I think that's probably the most we'll hear from Amy Adams Strunk this weekend. Maybe she speaks at the introductory press conference on Friday, but I would probably doubt it. 615-737-1025 if you have any more post-it note predictions. No matter what, like the movie Draft Day, what no matter what needs to happen for the Titans this weekend. We'll finish with this one on the YouTube chat. Eswalt says, no matter what, a starting lineman has got to be taken. I personally love a trade back to 12 as well with Dallas and taking Vega. Not sure he's there at 12. Regardless, need a starting interior offensive lineman. I actually would really love that as an option. Trade back, get 12 and 20 if possible, and then you could go. I think Vega would be a good pick at 12. I do. I know that isn't the sexy pick, and I know people would be upset with taking another guard in the top 12. And there might be better options depending on the way the board falls. But if you got Vega and then could go wide receiver or edge at 20, get the other one at 35, I would understand that thought process from Mike Borgonzi of, this is a deep draft at wide receiver and edge. We're going to get the best offensive lineman who can help protect our quarterback at 12, and then we're going to get some of those starting caliber players at 20 and 35.
We're talking about a guy that gave up 1 sack across a 3-year span. So I think he goes to Baltimore at 14. That's just kind of my gut feeling on that. But he's one of the better guard prospects I think we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think him to Baltimore at 14 is pretty telegraphed at this point. Again, somebody could jump him and go get him, but I think if he's on the board at 14, he's probably the pick. 615-737-1025. If you have any more, no matter what, non-negotiables for the Titans heading into draft weekend, we will take them on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. But we are going to be joined by Cory Curtis live from Pittsburgh coming up next. Excited to hear what he's been able to glean from talking to some of these prospects this morning, and also what he's expecting for the Titans this weekend in the NFL draft. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Final hour on this Wednesday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Visit Busy Bee HVAC at the Music City Home Expo event this Friday through Sunday at the Fairgrounds Expo Center. And on this draft day eve, we are thrilled to now be joined live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the draft begins tomorrow, by Cory Curtis from News 2. Cory, how is the beautiful Steel City? Do we have Cory?
We have Cory. I just
might be
think he
muted.
needs to unmute himself.
Zoom is always...
I see him walking around right now.
He is out and about in Pittsburgh right now.
It looks like a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. You got some clouds, it's sunny.
I will
just
say,
took off the jacket.
As a city, I love Pittsburgh. Are we feeding him audio? Make sure we're not muted. Would be
that could be a possibility.
So make sure that's good. But we will be joined by Cory Curtis here in a second. I would say just check and make sure that computer to your right is not muted. The Cory Curtis joining us live from Pittsburgh, and he is getting ready for the draft, going to be out there covering it. Cory, do you have us now?
I'm right here.
Okay, we were muted. We thought
that was my fault.
We
Cory.
thought you might be muted.
I apologize.
We were muted. Cory, how is the beautiful Steel City?
You know, I have always been a fan of Pittsburgh. I like this town. It's a good flavor of old and new. It is a glorious day here today, about 72 degrees with mostly sunny skies. And, you know, we were just out on the field with about 15 to 20 first-round draft picks. And, you know, a really good bunch of guys. They were actually kind of fun to talk to.
Anything that stood out from those conversations? Obviously, there's still a handful of guys the Titans might be considering at number 4.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're not, giving anything away, but anything that stood out from talking to some of those guys.
Okay, this is what stands out. Nobody knows where the hell anybody is going to go. Okay, nobody knows. They are all just like, I have no idea. I took 15 visits. I took 12 visits. They were all good. And, they all hear all the talk and nobody knows where anybody's going. So like I talked to a guy like Mansour Delane today from LSU. Fantastic kid. A lot of fun to talk to. And, the chances of him being the pick are slim, but they could also trade down and land him. And they know that is a possibility. And so, you just, everything's wide open right now and they know it.
I mean, it is one of the least predictable drafts that we've seen in a long time. You look, even at number 2 right now, nobody can come to a consensus on whether it's Bailey or Reese. I did just see during the break, I guess David Bailey accidentally referred to Darren Muji as Monty, as in Monty Austinfort from Arizona. So you're right. These guys have no idea where they're going. And credit to the organizations for keeping everything under wraps so far.
I even asked Arvell Reese, I said, do you allow yourself to think you're the number 2 pick, or do you just have to just push that aside and just wait to hear your name? And it was like, no, there's nothing guaranteed here. And I've got no idea. Obviously he's had a lot of time with the Jets and his name has come up with the Jets a lot, but he doesn't know. And then afterwards, we talked with Matt Miller and we talked with Jordan Reed and we talked with Charles Davis. And they're all the same way. They're like, we got no idea. We know who fits. We know who we've got projected at this time, but we got no idea. They're all having a lot of fun with it as well.
I mean, it makes the draft more fun when there's chaos, of course. Yeah. And over the last few days, the Titans, their link to Jeremiah Love has gotten a little bit weaker, according to a lot of the insiders. Peter Schrager came out on Monday night and said he does not think the Titans are taking Jeremiah Love anymore. Sonny Styles is gaining a lot of steam. What are your thoughts if Styles and Love are the 2 on the board, where the Titans might go there?
Well, I can tell you this, and it doesn't mean everything, but Sonny Styles did not take a top 30 with the Titans.
Okay.
He did talk with the Titans, but he did not visit. And I think that is significant. At least I would think it would be. Jeremiah Love, of course, did. He's only worn blue his entire career, so he's very high on that. And so I would still pick Jeremiah Love as the pick. Not like we say, nothing is impossible. But when something comes up last second like this, it kind of smells like smoke.
Yep.
And Jeremiah Love, I mean, I was talking to guys. I mean, they all say he's the best player in the draft. Okay, we all know the shortcoming of the Titans' offense. I do not know how, if he is on the board, you could pass him by.
I agree, and I think if Love is on the board, I'm willing to look past the smoke screens, and I think they still take him over Styles. The question becomes if Arizona throws a wrench in everything, and everybody is starting to look at, could the Cardinals take Love at 3? Where do you stand on an Arvell Reese versus Sonny Styles, the two teammates at Ohio State, if that's the decision that Mike Borgonzi has to make?
Well, that's tough because, I mean, they are both elite athletes with some untapped upside, to their game. Now, Styles didn't get a lot of chance to rush the passer last year, but he had 6 sacks the season before.
Right.
So he has shown he can get to the quarterback. And, you talk about, I asked Arvell Reese if he talked to the Titans how they plan to deploy him, and he said yes. They said they would play him at outside linebacker and then, move him around in pass rushing situations. And I think they could do largely the same with Sonny Styles. There's no reason you couldn't plug him in at any one of your linebacker spots and still move him to the edge in pass rushing situations. They could potentially do that. Like I said, they're both elite athletes. Sonny Styles is bigger. He's 6'5", and he's also. I like guys who are generational football players, like their parents were football players.
Yeah.
And Sonny Styles is one of those guys. When you're a legacy player, there's a lot of pressure to be great. And so it's not that I don't like Arvell Reese. I don't know what he is as much, and I would probably go with Sonny Styles.
And that's the way a lot of people have it trending. Peter Schrager's mock draft this morning with Arvell Reese on the board had the Titans still taking Sonny Styles. And I think the one thing I've been trying to make clear this morning, Cory, and I would think you agree with this. Yeah, you may rank these options in different ways, 1 through 4, Bailey, Reese, Love, Styles, but there's not really a bad option for the Titans. They're going to get a guy who is viewed at the top of their position, viewed as a blue chip guy. It just depends on what position they're looking at with that number 4 pick.
And that's what Mike Borgonzi said, that there are a handful of guys they're looking there at 4 where they feel really good about what they're going to get. Now, I'm not going to lie. I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people in Nashville. Jeremiah Love is not wearing Titans blue. I mean, and frankly, I'll be one of them because I've watched a lot of bad football the last couple of years, and I want to see somebody put some points on the board. But the saying I said probably the last 3 weeks on the show, and I'll say it again: it's never a bad time to take a really good player. And so, that will be interesting. One side note to this kind of discussion about getting a good player at 4. Matt Miller, longtime NFL draft scout now with ESPN, he said he only has 11 first-round grades.
Wow.
And, so for the Titans, Fernando Mendoza isn't one of your guys. So you only have, there's only 10 players available to the Titans. So if you trade out of that, it sounds like you're taking a serious drop down in talent. So like you're saying, you're still getting what everybody else isn't. Okay. No matter what the position is, you're getting more elite talent.
Yes. And that's a good point. And we've talked about trade back. I think that is the question you have to ask in your head. Is it worth it to add maybe another player in the top 50 versus missing out on one of these top tier guys in the top 10? Mike Borgonzi and this front office has talked a lot about wanting to add draft picks, 12 in the top 100, 30 overall over 3 drafts. That's what we heard right when Mike Borgonzi was drafted. It is the trade-off of missing out on one of the blue chip guys to get another one of these solid starters that you're going to find towards the back end of the first round and into the second.
Well, if I'm going top 50, I'm staying in the top 10 with my trade back.
Right. Yes.
But let me tell you, so I turned on the TV first thing this morning because Julian and I made the trip yesterday. We drove to Canton, went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame yesterday, spent some time there, and then last night made the drive here. It was a long day. But so I turned on the TV this morning at like I don't know, 7:30 Central Time, Eastern Time, 6:30 Central. And the first thing I see is a report on Sonny Styles. That's after we spent the whole day talking about Sonny Styles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, sorry. So do I really have to consider this? And then I had an epiphany because you've heard the Cowboys linked to Sonny Styles. I'm like, what if the Titans are putting out there they're interested in Sonny Styles to get 12-20? What if they want 12-20? That would be possible. You may not get the elite talent, but that's 2 starters. That's 2 starters and 2 difference makers for you. I mean, like say you went 12-20 and you still got Reuben Bain and Omar Cooper or Denzel Boston.
Right.
That's a pretty darn good day. That's a pretty darn good day. And so what I think it does is it gives you options. You see what calls ruminate and you see which ones don't.
No, and that's a good point of if you do trade back, yes, maybe, and we don't know how many first round grades the Titans have, right? Like it could be different
true.
based on the team. But yeah, you move back to 12-20, you could address wide receiver and edge, and that makes you feel a lot better about using 35 on one of those top guards possibly to fill out the offensive line. So
sure,
the Titans have so many options on the table for them. And again, we are getting close to 24 hours out and still have no idea how this draft is going to play out.
No clue. That was the best part about this whole thing. Everybody who was everybody looked at each other and said, what is happening? Nobody knows.
Right. Fernando Mendoza is the only player who knows where he's going, and he's not there. Yeah. 615-737-1025. Cory, we've talked about the movie Draft Day. And today we are doing our Post-it note predictions. What is your, no matter what for the Titans? I'll get yours on the other side because I want to know what is your non-negotiable no matter what for this Titans draft. 615-737-1025. We've got a few more segments with you on this Wednesday morning, getting ready for the NFL draft tomorrow. If you have any thoughts, you can text or call 615-737-1025, our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, joined live from Pittsburgh by Cory Curtis here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you here in Nashville. We are thrilled that we have Cory Curtis joining us live from the Steel City with the NFL Draft, getting ready to get started tomorrow.
What do you think the odds are that Roger Goodell says the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock and they play Renegade?
Oh, that would be hilarious. I would love that.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that. I got a feeling Pittsburgh, that city's going to show up for the draft. Now, I don't think it will be Nashville-like or even maybe Detroit-like, but I think it's going to be a good crowd tomorrow.
There's draft paraphernalia all over the city. We've heard they're closing some schools for it. So they're ready. Yeah, actually, what's his name? The new Steelers coach was out here this morning.
Mike McCarthy.
I wanted to call him Mike McDaniel, but he is not Mike McDaniel. Yeah.
No, and that area around PNC Park and Heinz Field is gorgeous. I love PNC Park is my favorite ballpark in the country. So
I've never been there. I've been to Heinz Field. I don't think I call it Heinz Field anymore. I've been there a handful of times, but I like Pittsburgh again. I do. And that they're both good facilities.
Yeah, and excited for the draft tomorrow night. Titans, we've been debating this for months of what they might do at the top. We'll finally find out tomorrow. Cory, it is draft day, rewatch day. I will be watching draft day tonight, getting in the right headspace for the NFL draft tomorrow. And we are doing our post-it predictions. What is your no matter what for the draft for the Titans? This doesn't have to be at number 4, but just something no matter what that the Titans have to do in the draft this weekend.
I'm going to make it simple. If he is on the board, Jeremiah Love, no matter what.
Okay. I got to say, Cory, you
have a chance to add a lightning bolt to
service in Pittsburgh may not be great.
I don't think it is.
But I heard what he said, which was Jeremiah Love no matter what.
Mobile at the same time. Yeah.
You got us, Cory? You're going in and out a little bit.
Yeah, we're on the move right now, so I apologize. If you want me to wait till we park again, we can park and I can call you back.
That works for us if you want to get where you're going. We do appreciate you as a roaming guest here in Pittsburgh. But yeah, check in with us when you can, Cory.
All right, I will be right back.
Sounds good. I did hear what he said though, which was if he's on the board, Jeremiah Love no matter what. And I do have to say, Parker, I'm a little bit surprised that is the first time that we've heard that. Like nobody else has texted or put in there Jeremiah Love no matter what, which I kind of assumed was going to be the overarching theme of this question today was fans texting in saying, give me Jeremiah Love no matter what.
Yeah, well, I think it's just because we've been talking about it so much. Like, he's the consensus favorite. When I went to the Titans uniform unveiling and they brought out Kyle Brandt. He was asking, all right, everybody, who do you want the Titans to draft? And everybody held up the love, the love thing with the finger. Yeah. It's just consensus. I feel like 95% of Titans fans want Jeremiah Love. So there's really no need to say it if we already know.
Yeah. And it is important to note that the draft is more than just round 1, right? Like, Jeremiah Love has been the focus around Nashville for the past few months, and rightfully so. When you're picking in the top 5, you need to go get a game changer, but you also have more opportunities to add to this team. And I've liked what we've heard from some of the fans talking about adding around Cam Ward. It was Dustin from Hopkinsville who said they need to focus on adding around Cam Ward because you need to know about Ward. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be out at the end of this year if he has a so-so season, right? Like if you don't see a ton of growth, he's the first overall pick. The Titans are going to give him a little bit more leash to develop and hopefully grow into that franchise quarterback. And I think you saw a lot at the end of the year that makes you pretty hopeful that that's going to happen. But this is an important year because year 2 is usually the year that you start to find out one way or the other. Year 3 is probably the most important year because that's when you have to start making contract decisions of whether you're going to extend him or not. But I do think year 2 is where you start to find out, all right, is this a guy or is he just another guy? And giving Cam Ward as much around him to have success this year is really important. I think getting Jeremiah Love would do a lot. Adding to the offensive line, adding a wide receiver. Dustin from Hopkinsville, I thought it was a really good point that, like, this draft, you haven't really done a ton around him in free agency with the exception of Wan'Dale Robinson. I would really like to see them build around the young quarterback this weekend. And starting with Jeremiah Love, certainly not a bad place to begin at number 4.
Yeah, because I mean, you may not figure out what Cam Ward is going to be for his entire career this year, but also too, you don't want to deprive him of weapons. So, if you don't draft Jeremiah Love at 4, and it seems there's a lot of backlash on the text line about getting a receiver after the 3rd round, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to add a Jeremiah Love and maybe get a receiver in the 3rd round because you would have to think they're going to go edge rusher. If Love ends up being the pick at 4, you would have to think that they end up going edge rusher in the 2nd, which then it would make sense. That's just how I see it playing out in my mind. Love, edge rusher, receiver. Ideally, you get center as well in the 4th.
Yep. You need to add on the line. Nevada Josh says, my uncle lives in Arizona. He says they have Love fever there too. Everything I've been telling him about Love here, he says it's pretty much the same there. So there you go. Somebody's going to be disappointed tomorrow night, whether it's out in the Valley of the Sun or here in the Music City. Somebody is going to be disappointed. B-Man on the text line says all you need is Love in all caps. 4312. Again, he has been our Sonny Styles guy. He says Sonny Styles, no matter what, he will be a more impactful player than Love. Write it down. I'm calling it now. Styles is a Hall of Famer. And
they could both be.
That's what, if you're picking a guy and it's really high expectation. So I don't want to say they have to be a Hall of Famer, but if you're taking a running back or a linebacker in the top 5, that's kind of what you're looking for, right? Like you're looking for a guy who is going to be a top player at his position for a decade. If that's what you're doing and you're taking a non-premium position, you want somebody who is going to have a Hall of Fame type career. It's too big of expectations to say they have to be, but it is what you're looking for. I mean, it's what you're looking for with everybody, right? But like, I think the expectations are lower if you take a pass rusher. If you take David Bailey and he ends up just being a average 10 sack a year guy for 6 or 7 years, it's probably not a Hall of Famer, but you're getting an impact pass rusher, which is hard to find in the NFL. You don't want just an impact running back or an impact off-ball linebacker. You want a game-changing player if you're taking that in the top 5. And 4312 says he thinks Sonny Styles going to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, that's why they study all this film, and you have to be convicted. Like I'm 100% convicted that I know what Jeremiah Love could be. So that's why you take him at number 4 because you're convicted, and if you're wrong, you get fired.
Larkin
you make too many wrong decisions. You
right,
get fired.
Right. No, and it's true. It's like you've got to hit on these picks, and I do think
there's risk involved with everything.
Right. There's risk with every player.
Oh, Cory's waving his hand. I think
do we have Cory Curtis back? Cory, check in with us. What's going on? Maybe not.
He was waving his hand at me.
We'll take a break. And we'll check in with Cory live from Pittsburgh. Again, we are very glad to have Cory Curtis from News 2. He's out there covering the draft. Thrilled that he could join us while he's on the move, making some moves out there in the Steel City. We'll check back in with Cory when we come back. We got a couple more segments with you on this Wednesday morning. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you. Getting ready for the NFL draft tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. And we have our roaming reporter out there, Cory Curtis. Cory, are you back in a spot with some signal here?
We are parked outside of Permanente Brothers.
Oh,
getting ready to have lunch.
Wow.
So,
Have you had Permanente Brothers before?
I have. It's
Okay.
a sandwich with French fries on it.
It is.
And to
That
me,
sounds
that's not that
fantastic.
amazing. It's not that amazing, but we're in Pittsburgh, so we're here.
Yeah, it's one of those things you kind of have to do it when you're in Pittsburgh. Cory, we do appreciate you checking in with us here.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize. We're grateful that you have checked in while out there in Pittsburgh. You were talking about Jeremiah Love, that you think if he's on the board, no matter what, the Titans should take him. Expand on that thought with the Notre Dame running back possibly being the pick.
Well, I just think the Titans lack explosiveness in their offense, and he could give it to them in the run game and the passing game, much like Jahmyr Gibbs, who we talk about all the time with him, does for the Detroit Lions. You can use him in both aspects and create that explosiveness. To me, there's no receiver worth taking it for, and there's no guarantee you get a receiver worthy of 35 when that comes around. So, you help Cam Ward out by getting him that guy. Now maybe in 66, you get Jacoby Lane or Ted Hurst, and you can get a receiver there, but there's no guarantees. And to me, the biggest guarantee is that guy at running back. And I don't care how many analysts I talk to, they all tell me the same thing. He's the best player in the draft. It's never a bad time to take a great player. If you can get the number one player at 4, you take him. And I know the angst with Arizona. I feel it. It's real. But ultimately, I feel like Reese or Bailey is going 2, and whoever doesn't go 2, someone is trading up to the Cardinals to 3 to get that player.
I would agree with you. I think Monty Austinfort wants out of that pick. I think that's why you've heard that they're interested in basically everyone with that pick. It's like, all right, who do you want? Well, that's who we want. You better come trade with us if you're going to take if you're going to get that guy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's like I said with the Titans at 4. Hey, well, we want Styles now. Do you want the Cowboys to come up and call you?
Yeah.
You want the Commanders to call you at 7, although the Commanders don't have a lot to trade right now. I don't know. There's just so much that's out there and so much that's last second. It really feels like, and we could be wrong, it feels like a lot of people are getting played right now.
Yeah, I do think that the Cardinals and Titans are trying to position themselves to possibly get a trade offer, considering who might be there for them at their picks. 615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone line. Tristan from Brentwood is called in. Tristan, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Yes, I don't want Love, but like the fans may want Love, but who's going to block for our quarterback? Like we gave up 55 sacks. The only person that gave up 2 sacks on our offensive line was Peter Skorowski, and I love the guy from Penn State. And David Bailey just had 2 sacks against ASU and had 1 sack against BYU. And so David Bailey is not that great. And how many sacks did he have against Texas Tech? And yes, I want the guy from Penn State because he's a great blocker, and we need to fix that offensive line. Like the last 2 Super Bowl teams had a great offensive line and great defensive line. So the line, that's where we need to start. Like we already have gotten lots of the defense line through free agency this year, and now we need to fix the center, and the guard and the tackle, like J.T. Latham, has been injured sometimes, and Dan Moore gave up 8 sacks, so we gave him lots of money last year. So, yes, trade down and get the Penn State guy.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tristan.
Yeah, he's talking about Vega Ione.
Yes,
who is a monster. Okay, he is an absolute monster, and he was at the event this morning. And you get to see how big, and Caden Proctor is also just a Goliath of a human being. But Vega, his film is very impressive, and in person he's huge. And let me tell you, the one thing I saw, these guys are throwing the ball around a little bit afterwards. Vega Ione, at whatever his size is, takes about 4 steps running backwards, jumps into the air, sticks his right hand up, backhand, grabs the nose out of the football at its highest point, and comes down on the ground. I know he's a lineman, but when you see that kind of athleticism from a 340-pound guy or whatever he is, it really blows you away. That now, if the Titans traded down to 12 and 20 with Dallas, I could see that pick. Okay, I could see that pick. But you can still draft Love in a draft the offensive line. You can get Basantis or Keelan Rutledge at 35, and then you've got a variety of players that you've brought in to compete for the center spot, or you could still bring back Kevin Zeitler.
No, they do need to upgrade at that spot. And I agree with you. If you trade back outside of the top 10, Vega Ione would not be a bad pick there. And I think there's a chance that the Titans are able to address tackle too. We talked about this last week with Mike Borgonzi talking about left tackle, and it seemed a little bit more likely that maybe they would address that in the second round, third round as a successor to Dan Moore. I do wonder if the Titans are going to go not just one early pick on the offensive line, but maybe a couple.
Well, I mean, we've all done a million mock drafts, and I have found offensive linemen that I really like into the 4th and 5th rounds. I mean, like you could get Jake Slaughter at the top of round 4 and have your starting center. That is possible.
Cory,
So
if you've been listening to me,
I mean, he's
been studying my notes.
Players.
He's been studying my draft notes.
The top of this draft may not be great, okay? It may not be huge, but I really like it into day 3 with the quantity of good players that are going to be there. And believe me, I am all about beefing up the offensive line. But as I've said, you don't have to get those guys in round 1, all right? David Stewart was a 4th-round pick. Michael Ruse was a 2nd-round pick. Leroy Harris was a 4th-round pick, okay? I think Justin Hartwig was a 6th-round pick. None of these guys were taken at the top. If they've got potential and you can coach them, that works out. For whatever reason, Bill Callahan and the Titans offensive linemen did not mesh. But when he left and his son left, did they get better? I mean, how many times did Cam get hit the last 6 to 8 weeks compared to the first 9 to 10 weeks?
Yeah, plus the run game too.
Yeah, plus the run game. That's part of it as well. You can protect your quarterback better when you actually run the football. And so I don't think things are as dire on the offensive line as people do. I just think better scheme, better coaching, added depth, they'll be okay.
Yeah, and we've gotten some text saying no offensive lineman. You can't take a lineman at 4. No one is suggesting a lineman at 4. It would be a trade back, or it would be on day 2 or day 3. But yes, if they stick and pick at 4, I feel like it's pretty safe to assume it's Bailey, Reese, Love, or Styles. It's going to be one of those 4, but nobody has any idea who's going to be on the board and what Mike Borgonzi is going to value at that spot.
I largely agree with that.
We will have to see what happens tomorrow night, but lots on the board for the Titans. Cory, we can let you go. Go enjoy your lunch and enjoy Pittsburgh. Sure. We are excited to watch the draft tomorrow, see your coverage with Julian for News 2, and we will talk to you back here in Nashville next week.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like I said before I go, what a likable bunch of guys that we talked to.
Yeah.
Just gracious, excited to be here, excited about the whole process. I mean, I didn't talk to one guy today where I wasn't like, man, I hope the Titans don't pick him. Just a really likable bunch of guys. And I'll just say this. Be ready for the Wild West.
Yeah.
This thing's going to be crazy.
I really think it is going to be one of the most chaotic drafts we've seen in a long time. Cory, we will be following along with your coverage from Pittsburgh and appreciate you joining us for a couple of segments here.
All right. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Cory Curtis from News 2 joining us. We will wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Final segment on this Wednesday. Wrapping up the show, Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Our draft day eve show. We've gotten a really well-rounded look at this class. We got Drew Beatty on earlier, who gave us the in-depth film analysis of this class. Just talked with Cory Curtis, who is boots on the ground in Pittsburgh getting ready for the draft. And we still have absolutely no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really think the Titans are in a good position to improve this roster in a big way. They have resources. It's just about using them to the best of their ability. And I really don't think there's a bad option at 4. People are going to be convicted one way or the other about Love. We have some people who love love Sonny Styles. Some people want pass rusher if they're there no matter what. There's not a bad option there. I think tomorrow is going to be very important for this team. I think Friday is probably the most important day of the draft for this team. Yes, tomorrow you're going to get the best player in your draft class at number 4, of course. But I don't think you can go wrong with some of those options. 35 and 66, whatever you choose to do on day 2, those are going to be really crucial pieces for this rebuild. You look at last year, Femi Oladejo, Kevin Winston. Of course, Cam Ward is the most important part, but we knew that. You had to build off of the other resources you had. And so far, Femi hasn't shown a ton. Kevin Winston was injured most of last year, even though there's a lot of optimism for him heading into year 2. I think Friday is going to be crucial for this team to get young pillars who can build up around Cam Ward, around Jeffrey Simmons, around whoever you pick at number 4, because those picks are probably more important to building the roster than your first-round picks. Yes, first-round picks, you got to hit on them. And we saw what happens when you don't hit on them. But it's easier to hit on first-round picks. In order to build this roster up...
you would think.
Yeah, for some people, it's easier to hit on. But the percentage of first-round picks who turn into good players, of course, is higher. That's why they're picked in the first round. Your second and third-round picks, if you mess those up, it puts you in a lot of trouble. You need to be able to hit not just on 4, but also on your later picks. This is a really important draft, really important offseason for the Titans as they try and get to a point where they're competitive heading into the new stadium. I can't wait. I really cannot wait for draft day tomorrow.
No, I think you bring up a good point with that, because first rounders typically do have a higher percentage chance of working out. And, given that you're picking at 4, you have a much better chance of getting one of the few players in the top end of this draft who are elite, game-changing prospects, at least from 50,000 feet. But for, rounds 2 and 3, if Love ends up being the pick, okay, now you need to address edge rusher, because any coach will tell you, not just Robert Saleh, but any coach will tell you that you can never have too many guys that get after the quarterback. That is a very valued commodity, especially in this day and age of football. So who do you pair Jeffrey Simmons with? Who do you pair John Franklin Myers with? Because in my mind, there will be some really good edge rushers there, whether it's Zion Young or Cassius Howe or Gabe Yakis, any of these guys. So I think you bring up a good point there.
What made the Titans so good in 2021 that they got the number 1 seed in the AFC? Derrick Henry was great for the first half of the season, but he was injured. What made them so good that year that they could be the number 1 seed? They got pressure with 4. And Robert Saleh, that is what his defense is built on, having those waves of pass rushers who are able to affect the quarterback. And I agree with you. It was you. One of our callers on the No Matter What said have to get an edge rusher. Was it Adam in Portland who said that? I think it was. I want to give credit correctly,
somebody
said you have to be able to get a young, talented edge rusher. And I agree. And that may come at 4 if Reese or Bailey is there, but I think you do have to get somebody who you think is going to grow into a possible 10-sack guy. These guys aren't easy to find, and that's why at 4 it would be really lucrative to get Reese or Bailey. But I still think there are going to be good options later in this draft to find young, talented guys who can help the pass rush. Speaking of which, we have 2 texts coming in about Ruben Bain to wrap up the show. Of course, one is from Keegan. Keegan says, just tuned in, haven't been able to listen. What if the Titans trade down and end up with Ruben Bain? I might crack a small smile if that were to happen. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Keegan said he moved off of.
Yeah, he said he's not the conductor of the Bain train anymore.
Yeah.
Trading down for Ruben Bain, I think would be it'd be an okay move, right? Like if you trade back and you get more value, I do think that you're going to be in a better spot to draft a guy like Ruben Bain, who is a unicorn. And Lauren says you should look at the arm length on those second round edge rushers. I think they're all short too. They're not all short. A couple of them are. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell. Cassius Howell actually has shorter arms than Ruben Bain, but not all of them. Like Malachi Lawrence is longer. Zion Young is longer. But Ruben Bain, I have a problem taking him in the top 5. He has to be something that has never happened in the NFL to make that pick worth it. But if you trade down, you're able to pick up another second, another first, and you still get Ruben Bain, I think I'd be okay with that. 7000 says, Sonny Styles will be a bust, mark my words. If we take him and the Chiefs draft Bain, you will soon remember why they are the Chiefs and we are the Titans. Don't draft a combine warrior. Take the dude who looks dominant across every position in front of him. Okay, I will say that, yes, Ruben Bain, the production, is one of the best in the draft. You watch him play in the college football playoff, and you say, that dude's going to be a star. But they wouldn't measure if the measurables didn't matter. And with Sonny Styles, he's more than a combine warrior. Go back and watch Ohio State film. He says 82 combined tackles for an off-ball linebacker is pathetic. Go watch him play. And he is the first guy to every ball carrier. He is great in coverage, which is what Robert Saleh wants. Sonny Styles is not a bad pick at 4. You can't just scout the box scores, and you can't just say because he was great at the combine that he's a combine warrior. Sonny Styles was a very good player at Ohio State. That's why he's being talked about in this conversation. Again, Sonny Styles would be my least favorite of the 4 options at number 4, but that doesn't mean that he's a bad choice at number 4.
And also, too, he was a pillar defensive player at Ohio State when, they had Jim Knowles and won the national championship. And then the next year, Matt Patricia comes in and the defense actually might have gotten a little bit better. And he was a reason for that.
And
so
I will say it again that I watched Arvell Reese tape last week and couldn't take my eyes off zero. Sonny Styles, I thought, was a better player in the games that I watched of Arvell Reese than Reese was. So, yeah, if Reese is going to end up being a premium pass rusher, that does make him more valuable. But if you're looking at off-ball linebacker and what Sonny Styles can do, you can't just look at the tackle number and say that he's a combine warrior. Go watch him play.
With off-ball linebackers, too, you gotta watch how they affect the pass, too. And what I mean by that, what TD brought up, when you have deep crossers, because that's a very popular concept in the NFL, okay, how do they affect that? How do they affect the windows for quarterbacks to throw the ball into? Sonny Styles does that.
Yeah.
So it's much more than, he had this amount of tackles as an off-ball line. It's much more than that.
Sonny Styles, my least favorite option at number 4, but I will implore Titans fans who are anti-Sonny Styles, just go watch him play a little bit. And I think you might have a very different feeling of what Sonny Styles is and can be at the next level if you go watch some of his film. Tomorrow is going to be a very, very fun day. Draft day is finally here. We will have TD in tomorrow, and Teron Davenport will help lead us up to the first round of the NFL draft tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Want to say a big thanks to Drew Beatty, who joined us earlier. Great insight on the film analysis of this class and some of the players that he'd looked for early and later on for the Titans. And of course, Cory Curtis, our boots on the ground, man out there in Pittsburgh, letting us know about everything that's gone on this morning leading up to the NFL draft. Again, we will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow. Draft day is finally here. Watch draft day tonight. Go make your pilgrimage to Sonny Weaver Jr., and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Enjoy your evening, Jake.
Chase and Big Joe are coming up next right here on 102.5 The Game.